I got contacted by hololive. They said they want an original song for one of their talents, and it turned to be Gura. It felt like a dream. It was the strangest thing in the world. My work got recognized.
Like, you know that meme on the internet that goes like, there's this kid who goes, wait a minute, who are you? That's literally what I was thinking when I was checking out your stuff. I was going like, who is this guy? Like, this guy's a serious like pro. I can hear from just the sound of it and everything. I'm thinking like, I have to know who this guy is. And then when I look you up, I'm going, I'm sorry, wait, hang on a moment. He's a Berklee grad, and he's this and that too, and he's done like, how much has he done? I'm sorry, wait, you did some of this stuff during like school as well? I'm like, what?
During school.
Yeah. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, seriously, who is this guy? It just gets more and more sort of like
in
crazy.
Fact, I'm actually I'm doing my master's degree in Berklee as well, in Berklee, Valencia, the Spain campus.
Oh.
I'm doing scoring for film, television, and games. So that pretty much kind of intersect between what I do in the virtual talent scene and what I learned in college. So yeah,
it's like I just even then, that's another thing. I mean, when we were sort of planning to meet here, we were talking about like trying to arrange the time based on time zones. I thought you were back at home in Indonesia, but
no.
But like, but then you say you're in Spain. I'm like, Spain? Like, what's he doing in Spain? It's like this man lives an incredible life already. If he's in Spain,
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, goodness me. I live in the UK here. The joke we like to make is that there's terrible weather, and the only place the Brits go is to Spain, because that's where the good weather is. So you're already winning quite a lot here.
Yeah, Spain is really weather is pretty good here, but sometimes the wind kind of threw me off because sometimes it gets really extreme.
Oh.
Like the wind just blows me away. I think it was like 4 months ago, like in January. So I went home to Indonesia on December for family holiday. And then I went back. Weather in Indonesia is either wet or dry. So we don't have snow. None of that bizarre weather that I used to experience in Boston, actually, where I took my undergrad. At Berklee, Boston.
There's so many places I want to jump to in your story here, and it's like I feel we probably need to go back to the beginning, because otherwise I will just jump everywhere, because there's so many things I could go to, because it's like again, I'm still mind blown by the story here. So let's go back to the very beginning, because once I start talking about Berklee, that there'll be a million questions to ask about that. So, but just to before we begin about it, I guess I'd just like to put our preface for those who aren't familiar with Berklee. Berklee is the most prestigious music institution in the world. Like, that is the place that people quite literally kill to get into. And I do come from a bit of a music background myself. I'm nowhere near as experienced as our guest today, but or even as accomplished, shall we say, is probably the other word. But I am familiar with that name, and I am familiar with the music education. And to put it simply, it's like you have to be so unbelievably exceptional to even be considered to get in. So, we're talking to someone really quite incredible here today. But let's find out how this incredible man began his journey. So take me back to the beginning. How did you start in music, and how did that eventually lead to composition?
Yeah, sure. So when I was 3 or 4 years old, my family, my mom, she actually played the piano, but not in a professional extent. I mean, she has a day job, but she's not a full-time musician. She only plays in her free time. And then, I don't know, seeing her play just intrigued me. So, I don't know, one day, my mom just told me for me to take piano lessons. And I actually liked it the very first time because it was so fun. But then it got really to the point where it's a little bit boring and too systematic, I would say. Because I was studying classical piano at the time. So in classical piano, for those who are not familiar with you basically have to be really precise on the notes you have to read. You have to read and you play. So I think that didn't really entertain me that much in terms of like the learning process, because I had to like practice regularly and stuff like that until I got I don't know. I think my cousin bought a keyboard, and then my cousin showed it to me, and like a lot of the possibilities that you can do on an electronic keyboard. And I was like, wow, this is way more fun. And then I started to, I would say, not neglect. I started not to care about my piano lessons at the time. Yeah, because there's a difference between a electronic keyboard and a real piano. You basically, because the piano is so the touch is hard, like wooden keys instead of plastic keys. Your fingers wouldn't be so trained if you play on the plastic keyboard, because it's so light. And then I got scolded by my parents quite sometimes at that time. But it was a fun, quote unquote, learning experience. And then I have to fast forward to my, I think, 6th grade, elementary school. That's where I discovered anime for the first time. There was this anime called K-On! In our country, had this cable TV network. There's this channel called Animax that plays Japanese animation, anime TV shows. So I watch K-On! And that, and somehow I didn't know any Japanese. I just liked the concept of music and school and whatnot. So that got me into like, music can be so much fun. And then a year later, I was introduced to this thing called Vocaloid by my friend, who actually have this interest in anime, manga. And then I discovered this thing called Vocaloid, which is basically a vocal synthesizer software. It is a software that allows you to write your vocal lines without having a vocalist in person. So you can tell this software to sing certain notes, certain words, certain lyrics, and there you have your own vocal track. And then the exciting thing is these vocal characters are attached to their anime personas. So you see stuff like Hatsune Miku, Gumi, and all of those Vocaloid characters. That's when I realized that if I want to make my own songs, I have to know how to make an instrumental. Luckily, before I delve into Vocaloid, I used to have this keyboard that can record 16 tracks, and then I could do my own compositions there. So I kind of know what my way is, at least to navigate like how I arrange stuff and stuff like that.
Wait. So just to understand that one, because it's like that sort of, I'm sort of intrigued by that thought. It's like, so you started basically recording like compositions on a 16-track keyboard.
Yes, 16-track keyboard.
What? Is that possible?
It's possible. Yeah.
I thought those things were like toys. I didn't think they were actually something you could do. I thought.
Yeah. I mean, people would consider them as toys sometimes, but because of the free time that I allocated to doing that, I kind of know what my way to do that in that keyboard when I was in elementary school. So anyway, I had to make instrumentals for these Vocaloid tracks. So I somehow self-taught myself how to use a DAW. At the time, my parents bought the house a Windows PC, and I knew my cousin who also makes music in his free time. He has a Macintosh laptop that has GarageBand. So, if for those who are not familiar, if you buy like a Mac laptop, MacBooks, or Apple computer, they come with this very basic DAW called GarageBand, which already has all the sounds that you need. It's not the best, but it kind of helped you to start working on music. So I didn't have a Mac at the time. I wish I had a Mac, but I just had this Windows computer, and one day I was searching for this a GarageBand equivalent on Windows. So I encountered this. I think now it's a little bit obscure. There's this DAW called Mixcraft. When I Google search like GarageBand on Windows, that was pretty much the #1 result. And then I clicked on it, tried it, and that's how I got into quote unquote music production the very first time. I mean, it was somewhat limited, and I realized like when I was self-teaching myself, that piece of software isn't what people actually use often. Like not a lot of people use that. So my curiosity drove me to some other DAWs that I tried. There was this DAW called Acid Pro that I also tried. It was okay, but I thought I needed more. So eventually I got into Ableton Live, and honestly, I didn't really get it. A lot of my friends like on the internet uses FL Studio. I tried it, not really my style. And eventually I stumbled into Cubase. Cubase, I think, has like this matching personality with me because it's linear and you don't deal with like making like multiple patterns like FL Studio and then pasting it to like your project window. Yeah. Cubase is just straightforward for me. Contrary to what people would recommend to people who are just starting out, like, oh, you should try GarageBand. I didn't have a Mac or FL Studio. Turn out I'm not really keen into trying FL Studio. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. I use Cubase from then until now, and still going on, unless they went out of business.
Well, to be fair, a lot of Windows users use Cubase. I mean, the thing that kind of I think when you talking about Ableton, I just kind of instinctively go, oh yes, don't say no more. I understand that one. That's like that is. I could never really figure out Ableton in that sense. It's not designed for composing in the traditional sense at all, in my opinion. It's like if you're into like EDM and stuff, it'd probably be more suitable for that. But even then, I'd say it's very specific type of EDM where like you're not even. Mm-hmm. It's how it's just. Oh man, it just brings back bad memories. You go, oh, I'm going to try and use Ableton. It's like no, it's not happening. It's not happening. I'll just stick to I'll just stick to Logic Pro, which is what I grew up on. So, but no.
Also, I was coming from this, from the composing on a keyboard with 16 tracks, and you cannot really see what you play. Like, I mean, you can see, but those are like less editor formats. So, like, it's not a piano roll kind of thing where you can move the notes around.
Oh my goodness!
And blocks. So yes, I have to like I have to be really precise on my performance in order to get everything right.
Oh my! we have some very humble beginnings when it comes to music tech.
Like everybody do actually.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. If you told me that you did that, using your 16-track keyboard, you did everything, like all those things you did say, that your earliest works that you actually published on Audacity, I'd be like, get out, man, just stop right there.
No.
that would be hardcore, man. If you did that, or if you know someone who does that, I will be seriously, genuinely impressed. That's basically trying to take a, I know it's not even taking a gun to a knife fight or something like that, or the other way around. It's like taking a fruit to a knife fight. You know, it's the wrong weapon altogether.
Yeah.
Oh God. So you grew up essentially in some ways, I guess, a natural evolution into music and composition in that sense. You know, I mean, the classical origin, I think, is okay, we're both Asian here. I can speak to this, right? We both started, I think, at some point, and at some point you realize, you know what, doing graded piano exams is probably not the funnest thing in the world to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And the fact that you actually found, say, an interest in electric keyboard. I mean, that cousin of yours, I think they've done a great service. I hope you treat them very well these days, because it's not many people go from, say, classical piano to electric keyboard, which is a completely different experience. You know, the weighted keys aren't there, and the actual way you would use the instrument as well, and the sounds you could make out of it. You know, it's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother world in itself. And then, so you did all of that. And you essentially you were learning and teaching yourself how to do this, or?
Yeah, a lot of trial and errors going in, at the time. I think 2010s, like the early 2010s, that's where people started to upload tutorials on YouTube. I mean, it's not the most credible source at the time, but because of that, I had to do a lot of trial and errors, and it was fun. And not worrying about making mistakes is something that I actually really like about this learning process that I did.
How advanced were you when it came to your piano training, I guess, in that sense? Like when it comes to, I guess, because what I'm trying to piece together is, obviously you would have had to have essentially, to be able to write Japanese music or any style of music, you need to understand how to actually do it yourself. In other words, you would have had to sit down and learn how to play those things. But you know, did you like teach yourself through, like, just learning it through ear and stuff, like learning these Vocaloid songs and stuff like that?
A lot of them are just playing it by ear, literally playing it by ear. Also, like, back when I was still in elementary school doing these stuff with my keyboard, a lot of the stuff that I did were actually remakes of instrumentals that I liked. A lot of them were actually pop songs, or let's say a jazz tune. I also like to play jazz, and I didn't have any jazz training until I got to Berklee. But learning it informally by listening and as in transcribing, but not writing the actual notes, because I'm not really huge in using notation, because I think it's more instantaneous when I hear stuff on the fly and try to figure out what notes are playing. It was like that.
So, according to your profile on farhansarasin.com, your official website, just got to plug that for you. So according to that, you then start, well, what I imagine to be chronologically the chronological order of things is you eventually transitioned into doing actual Vocaloid original songs, and you know, from there actually doing that on a professional level. Is that correct?
Yeah, but not to an extent where, because all of these moments were happening in my middle and high school days. So the reason why I got into that scene was so the same friend that told me about Vocaloid, she also introduced me to this forum, this Indonesian Vocaloid forum, where like producer wannabes, artist wannabes, illustrators, and interests in common. We have like these interests in common gather in that forum, and that's how I actually shared my works and get feedback, meet quite a lot of friends, and some of them actually ended up doing similar things as I do right now, producing music for VTubers. So basically that forum is sort of the door that I entered to the world of Vocaloid music. We did some compilation albums, so some of the producers there, including me, gather, and every year we would make our own Vocaloid song, and then we would sell them in iTunes, Spotify, and stuff like that. And also like these events. Actually, we started out handing these CDs for free in this cosplay event in 2011.
Oh,
and
wow,
then
okay.
Eventually, we got our spot in Comic Frontier, which is the Indonesian equivalent of Comic-Con, or the comic market equivalent in the country. So we began to sell those after that. I think that's my first professional thing that I did in the music production scene, because basically, if you can be called professional if you earn a little bit of money, like any amount of money. So that's my first experience doing it professionally. I mean, I was still a student and not really a lot of people listening to it. I think our scope wasn't that big. So, but it's sort of the thing that got me into the door.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, when you graduated high school, how many professional work? So, professional in the sense of things you've actually, let's say, okay, let's put money aside. Let's just say, forget whether you made money or not. How many things had you officially published, whether it be online or gave away in CD forms at Comic Cons and stuff? How many of those tracks had you actually composed by that point?
Before graduating high school?
Let's say when you, around the time when you graduated, how many how many things did you have under your belt at that point?
Well, I cannot really count.
You can't count? That's quite scary to think about.
I mean, here you go.
Oh my goodness! What's
this? This drive alone is I think is the answer.
Okay,
I also have my hard drive back home that has all my works. I think this should be the answer.
Oh my goodness! It's like I have how many gigabytes is this?
I just recently bought this. This is for my new works. This is 5 terabytes, but back at home, I had like a terabyte of space. I think that drive began to age because I've been using that drive since I first started. So,
oh my goodness,
a lot of stuff that I did was there. Yeah,
that's a national treasure right there, I guess, for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I cannot count.
Okay, so wow. Okay, so I think we'll just say the short answer to this is you are fairly established when it comes to composing things, and through using tutorials as well, you actually essentially taught yourself how to do music production as well. Like that's quite incredible, I have to say. I mean, one thing I've been really impressed about, right? Because I've sat through pretty as much of your stuff as I can before today, just to really be familiar. I like to try and get familiar with that stuff. And listening to the really early stuff, right? The stuff that you did even for, like, say, I think Clip Tuner. Is that correct? Clip Tuner? Is that the name?
Craft Tuner?
Craft Tuner, that's it. I'm thinking of it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the wrong name here, but Craft Tuner. It's like, even listening to Craft Tuner, I go to myself, this is really good. Like the mix is like it's very good. There's a difference between, say, like an amateur mix where it sounds really sort of like, you can tell it sounds like music student, like, you know, it's like the drums sound obviously like really crappy MIDI, and so does the bass, and everything's kind of at different volumes and levels, and I don't know, all of a sudden when it gets to the chorus, when you've added more instruments, everything starts to blur out, you can't hear everything properly. But I'm listening to your stuff and I'm going like, it sounds good. Like this is scary to think about. I mean, maybe I'm just getting old, right? But when I think about it, it's like, my goodness, like this guy, when he was a kid, still in school, was making essentially professional quality stuff. That was also like, you know, not only does it sound great compositionally, so the actual melody and harmony and everything like that, it sounds great and is arranged really well. But the other thing is also like, the music production aspect of it sounds good. I could never have dreamed of doing stuff like that on that level, you know. So to get to that extent, you know, I'm thinking, you know, wow, okay, you definitely know what you're doing is the best way to put it when you were in high school. Let's just put it that way. So
thank you.
With all of that stuff under your belt, at some point that then leads to you going to Berklee. You have to talk to me out. So let's break this down. So how did the Berklee thing come about? Where did the idea come from? Where did you even first hear about Berklee as a whole as well? And then what was the whole process like, actually getting into Berklee and moving all the way to Boston, Massachusetts?
Okay, this would be quite long, but I will condense it the best I can. So I think it was around high school in 2014. On SoundCloud, there are a bunch of Korean music producers, not K-pop, but they would do rhythm games, music for rhythm games, like the stuff from M2U, Doc, SD, and all these people that did rhythm music, rhythm games. They did a lot of great stuff, and I started researching about them, looking at their profiles, and one of them actually graduated not from Berklee but from an actual music college. So that got me thinking, I thought I could do music more professionally and probably make connections with the people in the industry better if I went to a music college. And then I started to research like what good music schools are in the world, because frankly speaking, the music schools in my country wasn't really they didn't really have the I would say
they didn't have, I mean, they have necessarily say the resources, and perhaps
the resources.
I don't want to say quality of teachers, because that's kind of the wrong way to put it, but I do know what you mean. Like I am sort of familiar with the Southeast Asian sort of scene when it comes to that stuff as well. It's like there are some really great professionals and schools out there in those areas, but yeah, as you say, it is a bit of a whole nother world once you start looking at the more international market, definitely.
Plus, I was in this high school where almost all the students will go to a science-related major. So I was actually thinking about taking biology at first, because I don't know, I might end up like researching in a biology-related field or whatnot, or anything science-related, because it's either science or something that would make like quote unquote real money. My family also recommended me to take economics or business or management. So yeah, but then I looked it up, Berklee, and it is regarded as one of the best music colleges in the if not in the world. I auditioned for Berklee and this one university in Denver called literally University of Denver, Colorado. It's where my mom had her master's degree, but in something else, not music, as I said. she's not a full-time musician. So she one day told me that the school that she got her master's from actually had this music program, and it was more tailored to like performance field, music performance. And I actually had gave it a shot. So I was applying as a jazz piano major. At the same time, I was also applying and auditioning for Berklee, Boston. I actually got accepted to both, and I picked Berklee just because I think it's Berklee is geared towards more contemporary stuff, and I think that would be more helpful for my career.
Yeah, definitely. You made the right choice there. I mean, it's like not all music schools and courses are the same. Definitely not. No.
Sure.
And yeah, you definitely made the right choice. And plus, it's Berklee. Why would you not say yes?
Yeah. And they also have the film scoring program. Now it's called screen scoring, I think. Yeah, film scoring program, which I think is really interesting, because when I produce music, it would not just end up in a song release. It can be used in anywhere, any media, as long as it needs music. And I think the need for music for media will not change, will not deteriorate. People will always use music all the time in these media, video games, films, and whatnot. So I think that's how I picked my choice, majoring in film scoring at Berklee.
So you get into Berklee, you make the adventurous move to move abroad, and and to assimilate into American culture as you essentially learn to become the composer that you are today. So Berklee basically sorted out a lot of your musical foundations that you were missing, essentially, when it came to, like, say, theory and maybe other styles of music that you weren't familiar with. Jazz in particular, like there's actually a lot of jazz that I do hear in your actual compositional style as well. I mean, for example, like one of your original songs, Determination, like, which is an excellent song. People do go check it out. It's like when I heard the chorus, I was like, my head just popped out. I had to stop. I was going to go, wait, what was that again? Let's go back. What's that chord progression? And to put it simply, that's a chord progression you wouldn't make unless you were familiar with jazz theory and advanced chord substitutions. That's like, I was like, this guy's a proper dude. He knows what he's doing. And it's so Berklee would have sorted out those things and basically embedded those those modern contemporary jazz applied theoretical concepts into your musical style. And then you would have continued to refine your musical style as well. So maybe getting, I don't even know how to say getting better, because it all sounds great anyway, regardless of what era we're talking about of Farhan Sarasin. But like so you would have gone there, you studied, you presumably graduated, obviously, because
I
graduated at I can't remember the correct title for it now, but essentially you got the highest marks you could get for your degree. Is that correct?
Yeah. 2020, because in the pandemic era, like pandemic just started, and then my last semester was crazy, having to learn everything online, talk to my professors online. It was a really strange experience. I would have had this recording session that I would love to do, but because of the pandemic, everything has to be like sequenced. And but yeah, I mean, I guess every cloud has a silver lining, which I'm gonna talk later regarding this.
You just reminded me now about that whole year that we don't like to think about, and how everything kind of shut down quite a lot. So you would have transitioned into online classes. I say that's a weird experience. I don't even. Yeah. How are exams even like conducted? I mean, well, actually, granted, yours wasn't necessarily, say, a performance degree. It was more of a compositional degree. So I guess that was okay. It just meant that, say, recording sessions might have been a bit strange if you need to be in like a live recording space for like certain instruments and orchestras.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also the access to studios as well, because obviously they have the right gear, the right speakers, the right space to do our craft. But I was locked down. It was locked down, and the only thing I had was my headphones and my not so ideal apartment room. So yeah, there's that.
Well, the creativity must have kicked into overdrive at that point, because you had to come up with some solutions, I guess. Like, yeah. That's oh goodness me. Look, did you have to essentially like change to using a lot of say like I mean, I presume you were probably using some anyway, but I guess at that point you probably had to use a lot of say MIDI samples and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And you just reminded me now, your sample library. I've seen your collection. Sample libraries, for those who don't know, just think of it as virtual instruments basically, and you can buy really high quality virtual instruments that are pretty much indistinguishable from the real thing nowadays, and all sorts of other cool little sound effects and so on and so forth. And I saw your collection, man. You did like a whole 2 hour and something plus stream, and I'm going like, what is this? This is like just an insane collection, man. But it's like, oh my goodness. Like,
and I think I was only scratching the surface there, because there are a lot of sounds that I obtained, and I unfortunately don't have the time to explore all of them. But I do explore them like as I do stuff, or if I ever need something new. So I'm actually stopped buying or downloading libraries this year. So
well, good luck with that. We always say we're not going to buy any more music here, but that changes. Like, that's like a New Year's resolution we don't ever seem to keep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. When that happens, people don't worry. Farhan didn't lie to us. He's just succumbing to human nature when it comes to doing stuff in music. You always buy something new.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the existing stuff that I had already covers all bases anyway. So, I mean, when I see like, oh, this cool thing just really got released, or a good sample a really new sample library, when I see like a lot of them, the new ones popping up, like, it was cool. It is cool to see that, but I don't think I can apply that at the moment, those new things at the moment, because I'm pretty much all set with what I have right now. It's just a matter of utilizing it effectively, being able to use things at your disposal effectively. Because I came from a place where I only had 16 tracks, and that's all I had, and then all these sample libraries popping up, and I was in a state where I didn't know what to use because of the plethora of stuff that I use, and that actually drove me crazy. So I decided to myself, this year I'm not gonna buy more libraries, or even downloading the free ones. I mean, it's nice to download the free ones, but yeah, I just have enough. I have a lot of stuff that I haven't even covered.
I'm going to be monitoring your Twitter like anything, and your Instagram. The moment I see something, I'm going to say, I gotcha, people, in 4K.
No, man.
It's okay. Don't worry. I forgive you. You just have to make sure it's a really cool one, and you do something really cool with it. Okay.
Okay.
So you graduate in the strangest year of all time, and did you even have a graduation ceremony?
No, we didn't.
Oh my goodness. Do you wish you did?
I wish I did, because families coming and friends celebrating and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's just really weird.
Oh. Well, hey, once this master's degree over, you'll have a even greater celebration, because you got a master's degree by that point.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be happy for you, man. I'll be happy for you. So you graduate in the strangest year possible. You're still presumably locked up in your bedroom. Did you move back to Indonesia, or were you still in Boston at the time? In
the first year after graduation, I was still in Boston, basically locked up.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then a year after, I moved to Indonesia, because I had I was offered this job in a education technology company that does games for kids, like a local company. I was in charge in the sound design, the background music, even like wrote a lot of nursery rhymes, children's songs, which not a lot of people know. I just mentioned in this stream of yours. So
well, we know now your secret.
yeah. It's not something that I publicly release because it's a company work, but yeah.
It's all right. Your secret's safe with us. We'll all keep it between us. Don't worry. No one's going to mention this forever.
No. I mean, feel free if we want to include that. But yeah, if people want me to write children's songs, I have experience in that. So feel free to contact me.
There is an art in doing that, though. In all honesty, like as much as we sort of laugh at it, it's like there's a certain tone and a certain sort of compositional lightness and joy you have to somehow spark in it. That's it has to hit the right feel. So it's I mean, I know someone who kind of actually does that for a living. So it's not as easy as some people put it out to be sometimes. Yeah,
it is not that easy. In fact, a lot of the songs I don't write the lyrics. I mean, first of all, I'm not a lyricist. A lot of the works that has vocals in it, including the ones with VTubers and probably almost all the music works that I do, the lyrics, I actually asked either a friend or the vocalist actually writes the lyrics. And in the case of these children's songs, we did have like curriculum people that writes the lyrics and they just do the music. So
do you Topline? Topline being the lingo
yes.
that's used to basically say that you compose the melody of songs and stuff. So you Topline, yeah? Cool.
Yeah, I Topline as well.
Cool. Yeah, just curious about that one because it's cause some people when they say they don't do lyrics, they also sometimes, depending on how they talk about it, means they don't do the top line as well. They're like more backgrounds of arrangement sort of stuff. So you do everything. So you do top line. So you write the melody, you write the the chord progressions, you do all the arrangements for all the instruments and play all the parts. Actually, saying playing all the parts. Do you literally play all the parts, or is there anything that you actually outsource to someone else to do, like the session?
A lot of I'm primarily a keyboard player, and I used to take drum lessons when I was really young as well. So a lot of the synth stuff, the drum stuff, bass and whatnot, I programmed myself. Also played in those parts as well. But for stuff like guitars, these days I've been outsourcing it to my good friends. And also some of the bass parts, like real electric bass parts, I also outsource to another good Berklee friend of mine. Yeah, it's just different. Like the feel of a real player versus I can somehow program convincing bass lines. But if the budget really permits, I would actually hire my good friend to fill in the bass lines for me.
Yeah. I'm actually a guitar player myself, so I do understand that. Yeah. So because it's I mean even in today's world, it depends on what you specifically want the guitar and bass to do. Like some things you can get away with, and you can bury it in the mix. You can mix it really low enough so that you can still hear it, but it's not going to be too distracting. But then if you want to do certain things, like certain sort of details that you can't quite program with MIDI just yet, unless you find like a really strange sample pack that has these explicit things, like like finger scraping string movements or something.
I actually used to the keyboard, the 16-track keyboard that I mentioned about, like in the bass sounds, like if you put my octave like really up, you'll get these scratchings and scrapes and whatnot. So that's how I actually learned the hard way to sequence convincing bass lines. And also like when I actually self-teaching myself, I don't know if you know about this fusion band called Cassiopeia, a Japanese fusion band.
Oh yeah, Cassiopeia, yeah.
Cassiopeia, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like their stuff. Actually, if I'm really being honest, their live versions are way better than their studio versions. Their studio versions, I think it's because they're so tight that it kind of felt mechanical, but in the live versions are really great. But anyway, I like to transcribe those things, and I notice like some intricacies in the way they play the parts, as in the behavior when they reach a certain note, or the approach that they use when they change chords and whatnot. So I think it's not a matter of learning the notes, but also the behavior. Like, I have to position myself as the bass player or the guitar player if I have to sequence them in a song. So I would always try my best to replicate that. In fact, like a lot of the stuff from Craft Tuner, all of them, the guitar parts, the bass parts, they are almost all sequenced except for the guitars in Dandelion. I have my high school friend, a middle school friend actually, filled that for me. But all the basses, all the like guitars, they're MIDI. They're mostly MIDI.
It still sounds good though. I've seen your stream where like you're trying to, where you basically show people how you fake the sound of some of these things, and I'm going like, wait, what? You can do this? I'm sorry, what? I mean, logically, when I think about when you show me, it goes, oh, of course, yes, of course you could do this. But at the same time, going, like, that's just still crazy. And the fact you told me of your 16-track keyboard, you basically faked the sounds of like, you know, like string handling noise as well on a bass. I'm like, what the hell, man? You know, you're still in school and you're still thinking of stuff like that. It's like, what the hell? But you do remind me of something as well. It's like that especially when you say there's actual guitar as well. It's like, okay, now I understand how Fracture sounds as well. Like Fracture, another one of Farhan's original pieces. Sure. Which like sort of a guitar moment, I think somewhere like about 2/3 in, like just guitar and bass and something like that. And I'm going, oh God, that sounds cool. And I'm thinking, my God, this guy's too good, man. He can even make that sound good. I don't know what MIDI wizardry he's using, but now I know it's probably real guitar, or maybe a blend of both, maybe.
Fracture, it's a blend of both. All of them, all the guitar parts are MIDI, but only the solo part are real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm my guitar playing heart is a little bit at ease when you say that. I was like, oh my goodness, he can do that. It's like, what can this guy not do? But oh wow. Okay. So you went back home to Indonesia. You to work to essentially write kids songs. Yes. And somewhere along the line. So this would have been 2021. Is that correct?
2021. Yes.
2021. Okay. From here, paint me the picture now. So this is the part that I think a lot of people are curious about. I'm also curious about as well, right? Because the thing is, the internet is a wild sea of talents, you know. And although we obviously have really amazing talents like yourself as well, you know, sometimes they don't always get found. So paint me the picture. How did you go from where you were back then doing children's songs into being known for working for VTubers, especially hololive, where perhaps most people, including myself, would have found you?
The hololive stuff actually started at the same time I started to do this children's songs gig. Before 2021, I was also freelancing for that same company, but eventually they need me to be in their company. So, but anyway, hololive. Actually, before I start the first project that I work on with hololive ID Indonesia is the original song by Pavolia Reine, one of their talents, the second generation ID. Mm-hmm. Actually, before that, I used to do like vocal mixing commissions in my free time. Actually began that during my time, like just before I graduated high school. Like a lot of the Utaite community, like people who likes to cover Japanese songs, Vocaloid songs. They wanted to get their stuff mixed, so I did commissions for that, earn a little bit of pocket money, and then as time went by, I did a lot of those and did also some music, some of my original music as well. And then, eventually in 2020, where these VTubers scene are coming along, my first contact with VTubers was with Nijisanji ID, Indonesia. Was mixing some of their covers. And then I think that is the reason why hololive reached out to me to make an original song for Pavoliarine. And then that happened. It is something that is not really expected, because again, the VTuber phenomenon, it is a phenomenon, and not a lot of people know about that at the time. It was fairly new, and I don't know. I just got the calling to do that. That was for Pavoliarine in 2020, in December 2020, and then I think they liked my work, and then hololive Indonesia made the call again to do their first anniversary song, which is Identity Voices, that is sung by 6 of the talents. So at the time there were only Generation 1 and Generation 2. So I did that, and then eventually, at the same time, I'm also digging the hololive clips in general, like their streams. I'm not like a hardcore fan or anything, but just as a
casual enjoyer. That's how I like to describe myself as well. So yeah, no, I understand that. I understand that.
Yeah, casual enjoyer of VTubers. And then at the time, I think Gura was one of the most subscribed, if not the most subscribed.
She basically dominated the world in, I think, 3 months or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. She grew really quickly, and I don't know. She did a lot of light content, and I don't know. It's just really easy to follow her.
She is phenomenally excellent at what she does, and I think the best way to describe it is. And then this is an interesting thing I kind of discovered through, I think, just consuming enough VTubing content casually as well. It's like, if you're entertaining to listen to, right, just listen to on a stream, then usually that also translates into you are actually great at doing VTubing as well. Because I think too many people rely on the model to sell the image and everything. But the truth is, if you can just be entertaining just to listen to it, so you're not even watching a stream, you're just listening to it whilst you're, doing the housework and stuff like that. It's like, you're doing pretty well, and she is phenomenal at that. She's so entertaining. So I certainly understand what you're talking about. I think that's what hooked us both in. So you basically became a fan of Gawr. She was probably would it be safe to say she was your favorite out of the bunch that you were listening to at the time or watching at the time?
I'm actually just a casual enjoyer. But
casual enjoyer.
I like her content. Yeah, I like her content.
Okay.
I like her personality in the streams as well. And then, I don't know, after after I did the Pavoliarine original song, one day I was watching one of her karaoke streams. I think she was singing a lot of the hololive originals. And then like suddenly she said she's gonna sing this song in Indonesian, and I was like, "What?
Wait! She was singing an Indonesian song? What?"
Yeah. And then like the only hololive Indonesian song that people might know was the one by Rene, I think, and then not to my surprise, she actually sang my song, and I freaked out. Wow, she really did it. And then she executed pretty well too, considering she doesn't speak the language. I was impressed. I was really impressed and really surprised that she decided to do that. But anyway, few weeks later, I got contacted by hololive. They said they want an original song for one of their talents, and it turned to be Gura. Yeah, it turned out to be Gura, and I was like, "What, me? I mean, she could have collaborated with, I don't know, Deco or the people who has like way more reputation in the industry, like because she's the most subscribed at that point, and then." I couldn't still figure out why she chose me. Yeah. And still to this day, it felt like a dream to be able to release that. And then we worked on this song called Reflect. So what she was looking for was this cinematic epic kind of thing with like beats and whatnot. And then, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna sketch out something. And the most interesting part is that when I worked on the song, the final Reflect song that is out now, the original draft isn't really that far from the final in terms of the musical elements, in terms of the instrumental. So I think I did that in less than 6 hours or something. I don't know. I was just really lucky that.
Did you hear that, people? He wrote essentially like the biggest like VTuber song in the world at the time, and probably still nowadays, to be honest, because of who it's associated with, in just 6 hours.
Just the instrumental alone.
6 hours. I'm just gonna keep plugging that. 6 hours to come up with a masterpiece that everyone knows and loves.
But really, I think it's all luck, because with electronic music, you have to do all these sound designs and arrangements at one like instantly. Not really instantly. You have to figure out like what sound design you have to use, because there are plethora of choices that you can execute. I don't know. It's just that I program things. I play on the keyboard. I like this chord. I like this sound, and you just paste it. This sounds cinematic. It's good. And then it's been 6 hours. I'm gonna send this, and then she's like, "Wow, this is cool." And then, really? Oh, okay. I'm glad. I was glad. And then it took me, or actually, right after that, I also Topline the thing first. Oh, actually, no, the top line writing. So I actually did the instrumental first and then sent it to her, and then she gave the stamp of approval, and then I made the melody top line. So yeah, between the time where I did the top line and the lyrics being finished, there was a good 3 months or 4 months. Because I don't know, I think she might want to have the lyrics to be really personal. So it took her and the lyricist quite some time. And then like a couple of weeks or a week before June 20th, which for those who are not familiar, it's Gura's birthday event, June 20th. A week before that, I got a notification saying, the lyrics are done. We just need to record this. Do you have any harmonies? Yeah. So I made the harmonies. I actually sang my demo, the harmony myself, because I could have programmed that with something like Vocaloid or something, but just want to be really quick and
Yeah.
You know, as effective as possible, because I have to get this mix before the birthday event.
You're on a deadline, you know. You're on a deadline for Shot Girl. Yeah.
Yeah. And then met the harmonies, then sent it back. Gura sent the vocals to me back, and I was actually surprised that it was good. Like, contrary to what people might say, it's a lot. It has a lot of autotune, blah blah blah. I tell you, I barely have to tune her. Like, there's not a lot of tuning going on, other than to make things a little bit tight because it's electronic music. But it's not the kind of tuning that you would do to an amateur singer. I mean, she proves that she knows her stuff. The stuff that she sent to me is on par with like what I would have gotten from like a pro session singer.
I agree with that 100%. I've heard her do certain things in the karaoke streams that makes me go, no, I don't care what anyone says. She has music training of some description. I don't know what that training or background would have been, but she knows what she's doing, because she's doing things that only someone who would come from that background can be able to do. Like, you know, even like these little subtle, what I call subtle jazz scale runs that well, not even jazz scale, but essentially like little runs. I go like, unless you come from a background where you have played around that stuff or sang or done stuff like that to some description, maybe even like musical theater performance or something like that, who knows, but whatever that story is. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. There's people think because she sings with a voice that sounds very, say, natural sounding, compared to say someone like, say, that's very sort of, you know, very sort of trained and dialed in, like say Soisei Hoshimachi, for example. You know, those are like two different polar opposites of professional singing. You know, Gura's on the sort of the more, I guess what you would say, the more natural end of things, where it still sounds like she's speaking, but she's doing it in such a way where you don't realize how good she is until you actually recognize she's, well, put it this way, I've never heard her sing out of tune once. And that's not an auto-tune thing, that's an actual full-on like she knows what she's doing, you know, from one music guy speaking to a very accomplished music guy. Dude, man, I know exactly what you're saying. It's like it's scary how good she actually is at that stuff.
She definitely did a lot of practice. Like, I can know, really, I'm sure that she had done a lot of practice before being a VTuber. Like, I can tell.
Yeah, I can hear it. I can hear it now. It's good we're validating each other on this one. I've been wanting to have this conversation with someone for a while just to prove this point, but there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But
so So anyway, the birthday event, right? There was a lot of anticipation by the fans. Honestly, I was also nervous because, number one, she's the most viewed virtual talent on YouTube, at least. And also it's her first original song. And yeah, like I said, she could have collaborated with high name artists, and she chose me. So I was a little bit nervous about that.
No pressure.
Yeah. But then when the song got released, like, and it's without the initial release didn't have any music video on it. And I was surprised that just the cover art alone can contribute to a lot of views. Even, yeah, I couldn't comprehend that. it was the strangest thing in the world. Like, my work got recognized at this stage. I mean, I didn't really dream about this at all or anything. In fact, like, I was planning to go to Los Angeles to pursue my film scoring thing. But since everything just closed down and stuff like that, it's kind of hard. And then, yeah, I just happened to have this opportunity where these VTubers called me to do music, and I was in a position where I'm really, really lucky. And and that people are also enjoying it. Yeah, I think that's one of my, I guess, achievements that I had. One of the biggest is Gawr's Reflect, and I think also a lot of it is luck. So I don't know why I got into that place. So
how did I get here?
Yeah.
Oh wow. It's quite funny. Have you seen Gura talk about the process of getting?
Yeah, I saw that stream. Yeah, I saw that stream.
Yeah, because it's for those who don't know, I'm trying to remember what she said. Basically, she was familiar with your work already, like even before ID. So she used to play rhythm games. Like she's known for playing a lot of rhythm games. And she used to play the rhythm games you composed on. So it was like it's kind of like, it was like, in some ways it was almost like coming home for her to like something that she was familiar with. In this case,
and I only did one song for that game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I actually looked at it. It's just one song. I'm like, oh wow. But there you go. But it's such a crazy thing to think about, just how one thing leads to another. You're doing covers and remixes, and then one thing leads to the next, and all of a sudden, not only is hololive consistently coming back to you, but now Gawr personally reaches out to you, say, "Can we do something, cut together?" And it's just that it's man, I'm happy beyond words because I know what it takes to get there. It's wow.
I guess also it's more on the friend. I know a friend, I know a guy kind of thing, from Rene, possibly.
Yeah. So you did Reflect, and then moving on from that. So you would have done some ID stuff. You've done Reflect. Moving on. I think the next thing was Myth or Treat, wasn't it? I think.
Yes, Myth or Treat.
Were you there during the actual live stream for that?
The live stream.
When they showed off in the Halloween stream.
Yeah, I was watching the stream. Myth or Treat is something that isn't really my comfort zone, honestly.
Really?
As in challenging.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because they were looking for this hard-hitting mainstream pop kind of feel,
Mm-hmm.
And it is not something that I do on a daily basis. But yeah, I tried my best to deliver, and you have Myth or Treat. And also one note with Myth or Treat and Gura. I think I mentioned this in my stream, one of my streams talking about that song, was that the song was planned like a month, or there was little time. 1 month, meaning they're streamers. They have to stream regularly. They have to somehow allocate time to do the singing, to do the recordings, let alone the lyric writing. And then when they actually submitted the vocal recordings for the main ones, the lead vocals, actually I was about to ask, how are we going to do harmonies? I was about to type that, and we were like, "Oh, can we do harmonies for this?" That's the musicianship right there. I quickly sketched out harmonies and gave it to Gura. Actually, a lot of the harmonies are from Gura, and I think I said, I think it was like 3 days before it should be released. I said something like, "Okay, cool. If you want to do harmonies, I'm gonna write it like in the next few hours, and then please have them ready by tomorrow, because I'm speaking realistically that you guys want to release this on the Halloween stream." So I wasn't trying to be, I wasn't being rude or anything. It's just that I want to have this realistically possible, feasible. So if you want to have harmonies, you have to do it tomorrow. You have to deliver it by tomorrow. And guess what? She did.
Oh, wow.
She did, and I kind of mixed the thing together, and yeah, there you go, myth or treat.
I remember what it was like to sit in that stream, right? And I don't know what your feeling about it was, but when we were watching that, right?
Yeah,
we were all going like, okay, what's this going to be? Is it some cutesy sort of Halloween VTubing song? And then it plays, and you're like, what is this? What is this? It's like, and everyone's going, this is slapping way too hard. Like, what is this? And it's, I think it was Ame who said it best. It's like, I think she said this. It's that song like that you wrote for them. It slapped way harder than any of them expected. And then it does. It's just like, I'm like, what? This is just like crazy. This is like almost overkill, almost for like a VTubing Idol Corporation. Yeah, and you did such a great job. I'm just like, it's just
thank you.
It's like, they ask like, oh, you just need to, you need to bring a gun to a knife fight. No, you bring a goddamn tactical nuke. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, that's okay. So you did myth or treat. And then I'm trying to think what was after that. I think after that was it Journey like 1,000 years?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That song is I think we were also on a deadline on that. I was only contacted like I said, a month or even 3 weeks or a month prior to the release of that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds it's really cutting it close. But I guess that's the world of VTubing. It always usually is cutting it close, and the fact you can deliver it's pretty crazy in that sense.
Yeah, and also like it's really similar to what I would have done deadline wise, like if you're working on a TV show or a film, like you have to meet the deadlines and all that. Because I came from that world in college, I kind of have the grip on like time management, I think.
Oh, so let me paint the picture then. So, you were contacted by hololive because they liked the work that you did. Consistently, they came back to you, and over time, obviously, you've firmly established yourself as essentially what I would call the legendary VTuber composer at this point. It's and other companies reached out to you as well. You had Nijisanji as well, and then
Nijisanji was I actually haven't done any original music work for them yet. but actually before hololive I was mixing some of the Nijisanji ID covers.
You were mixing is still quite a thing, I mean, it's like there is a skill to that. You got, so for those who don't know, you got composition, which is writing the thing, right? And then you got the music, the mixing side of things, the mixing and the mastering aspects of things. That's a technical, that's a whole another skill set in itself, which is, to me, it's mind-blowing that you can do both of those things like really well. Because I said it before, it's like, listening to the stuff you did as a kid, that is just crazy, and like not every composer knows how to do that. There are some composers who really cannot do that at all. And they have to go hire someone else to do it. Now granted, obviously, if you're freelancing, maybe there's a higher likelihood of you doing it. But even then, it's like there's not that many composers I can think of that would do it, to that extent. So the fact that they're reaching out to you even for mixing and stuff like that, that's, so I don't care what you say, man. That's a really high, still a really high calling and a credit, because at the end, let's put it this way, you can have the greatest composition in the world, but if the mixing is terrible, right, the song will sound like a really full-on amateur production, like a really horrifically amateur production if you don't get the mixing right. So, the fact you can make it sound pro, like you're adding the magic to it, if we put it that way, from the audio engineering perspective. Yeah. Sure. So essentially for Nijisanji, you do say the mixing and mastering, like the engineering side of things.
Sure.
And you did something for Idol Corp, I think, as well, didn't you?
Idol Corp, yeah. I was doing the soundtrack for their trailer debut video. That's more the work that is close to what I did in my major, which is film scoring.
It sounds great, by the way. I've seen it, and I thought like, oh, what is this? What is this? And then I see your name. It's like, oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, everything suddenly makes sense. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think now. It's like it's such an amazing amount of work that you've done, obviously in such a short space of time. When you think about it, it may not be a short space of time. It's been, I think, 2 years, let's say. But even then, in 2 years, you are fairly cemented in this sort of field, I guess. And going forward, what are some of the plans and aspirations that you have? Like whether that be in not necessarily say VTubing, because that's more of a commission thing. They reach out to you for that. But I mean, on a personal level as a composer, what are some of the big ambitions you would like to see one day realized?
I think one day, I think this is a dream of mine from when I made music, produced music, is if I ever got the opportunity to produce a soundtrack for a game, a AAA game or something, or like a film, more in something that my friends, my family, or my partner would watch, and then they would be really, and make them proud, is something that's my biggest ambition, to make something that can make my loved ones proud.
Basically, make your parents go, that's my son.
Yeah.
He did this. Oh, wow. So I guess there's a sort of final thing I almost want to ask you at this point, right? So with all your years of experience, so you've been doing this since you were a kid. You pretty much know this inside out at this point, and you've got obviously professional work under your belt. What advice do you have for people who are aspiring to be composers, whether that be for, say, film scoring or video games, or even in this case, online content like, say, VTubers and stuff like that?
I would say everything that you do, document it, save it. Don't just delete it. Don't delete your drafts. And that would bring me to, if you're working on something, back up your work, please.
I have to ask. Is there a story behind that one?
Oh yeah. And this is a college work that I did. I was plugging my hard drive in one of their computers, and then I unplug it and then plug it into my computer, and it didn't really read the drive. That devastated me. Fortunately, I backed up the previous version in the cloud, so I'm safe. But the work that I did in that session in the labs were gone.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I take it deadline was approaching and you have to redo all of that, and how many hours or days of work did you lose?
A couple days, I think.
Oh,
but fortunately it was something that is not paid. I mean, it's a school project. It's not like a professional work, so
oh, okay.
I was quite safe in that. Yeah.
Still,
imagine this happening in Reflect. I would be dead, man. Yeah.
Who is this Farhan Sarasin I'm talking to? Yeah, I don't know this guy. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No. Oh.
Yeah.
We would have a very different timeline in that case. Oh my goodness.
Another advice would be not to worry about making mistakes. Because I believe every mistake that you do creatively will lead to something new for you, or even another learning process. Like I said, about a lot of trial and error, and that would really help you, experiment and eventually gaining more what you have by doing those mistakes. So don't worry too much when you're making a mistake. Especially, I mean, sure, you don't want to make a mistake in the most professional setting, but when you're learning, just make as much mistakes as you can. So you'll learn from those mistakes, not being afraid of making those mistakes while learning. So yeah.
Do you have any regrets about any of the work you've done over the years? About, like, say, not necessarily like, you know, things you published, although it could be that, but also like regrets in the sense of like you wish you did this, or you took that opportunity, or, you know, things like that, where let's say you ask yourself, what if you did that?
I think this is more on because of the pandemic in general. If the pandemic didn't happen, I think I would have like more like better communication with the people I collaborate with. For instance, like being in the studio or giving like direct directions to whoever I'm working with. But because of the pandemic, everything just went online, and there's a total difference between working remotely and working online. Well, working remotely, I was quite fortunate that I had experience like talking to people online and stating what deliverables I need and communicating with them during my time doing commissions before my graduation, before even doing this hololive stuff. But when I started to do this collaborations in college, like real life collaborations, like, wow, this is actually way better and way more interesting and way more effective communicating with these musicians or engineers that I collaborated with. So yeah, but you know, every cloud has a silver lining. If it not because of the pandemic, hololive wouldn't be this big, I think. Because people are staying in their homes, watching their talents. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's that for me.
It was a tough time for everyone, you know.
Yeah,
it was not an easy time, and sure, you know, we might look back and go and maybe think to ourselves, it wasn't that bad, but it was a, like, even let's say if nothing bad physically happened to you, mentally it was, you know, probably one of the most depressing times of our lives, you know. I'm not gonna lie about that. It was depressing for everyone. And as you say, I think it's safe to say hololive, or holoMyth in particular, you know, that definitely maybe brought a smile to everyone's faces. I know it certainly did for me. Maybe that's why we both became casual VTuber enjoyers, because it was just like, it was the thing that kept us going, you know, that little hit of dopamine every morning when we check our feeds and stuff like that. So Farhan, now that we're sort of approaching the end, where can people find you?
I'm online on Twitter. It's you can find me. I mean, I don't put my full name there. Maybe I should. My Twitter handle is FAAATSAW, Fat Saw. That name. This is funny because the Twitter account that I have, my primary Twitter account, used to be my secondary account. So I made that account back in high school, and then I decided to like ditch my primary Twitter account, and now my primary account is that. And that name Fat Saw is actually taken from one of those sounds I have in my keyboard. So I have sounds, synthesizer sounds like square leads, sawtooths and stuff like that.
I get where this is going. Going. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's this sound called Fat Saw, and it's written that way.
Oh, it's actually written that way.
Yeah, with 3 A's.
3 A's. They gotta be hip just to really drill in the fact that it's a pretty fat saw.
Yeah.
You need to show that live one day, yeah, so that we know what your namesake was here. What was this mythical thing that gave you your online name?
Yeah. They have a bunch of Fat Saws, but this one has like 3 A's. So
Extreme.
I like that name, and coincidentally, it's also my initials. So yeah, the first letters in each word is my initial. So I choose that name. I like that name.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah. And Twitter, also my website, farhansarasin.com. You mentioned it. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm not really active on SoundCloud these days, but if you want to see my early works, if you type my name, it'll be there. Also, Spotify, Apple Music. Although I wish I had more time to do my original stuff. Most of my stuff, like in the past 3 years, I've been always with agencies or writing songs for somebody, or mixing, mastering for other people. I'm actually active. I'm actually quite busy with the works I do, but it's just that when you see my Spotify feed, there isn't that much. Also, I have a project with Caramelo Project, which is you mentioned about the Termination. The one who sang it, Sagi Sapon, is actually a really good songwriter. We met in high school, not high. We didn't go to the same high school, but I met her during the times we were in high school on the internet. Within the Utaite community. So she also she likes to write original songs. And then that's where Caramelo Project is a project of me and her, and also some illustrators. So we basically write songs that can be connected to each other. So each song is like a storyline, or and we produced 2 songs so far for that, but we still haven't gotten the time to actually continue that. So it's more like a side project, really. I think that's, if you Google me, like, you can pretty much reach me anywhere. So
yeah, and just a side note, the fact that you say you're doing lots of stuff for other people, and when you go on Spotify you find there's not much at all, that's usually a sign of you're very busy and you've done lots of stuff for other people. Because that's the thing, they don't usually list it as under the composer. Sometimes they list it, say, under whoever the artist is. So in the case of, say, some people, for example, they know when it comes to Reflect, they know Gawr. So Reflect's by Gawr, but what they don't know is Reflect musically composed by Farhan Sarasin. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So is there anything you want to plug as well, like in terms of what you've got coming up that you can talk about, should we say, that you can actually talk about?
I would say I'm still active in the VTuber scene, so keep your eyes peeled, I think. And is there anything you want to say to people watching this? Thank you for listening to my music, and I hope it will inspire you to do the same, make more music. And if we make more music, I think we can make the world a better place, and by spreading happiness with it. So that's what I can say here.
Farhan Sarasin, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, man, for having me.
Thank you very much for checking out the very first episode of Geeks Reconnect. If you want to support and follow Farhan, go check out all the links below somewhere, either in the description or the pinned comment. I'll see you guys later. My name's Julian. Take care.